Welcome to Chicago Style Parenting, where we delve into parenting life in Chicago and uncover the resources, information, and support that Chicago families need.
That's right. We are brand new to the podcast scene, but have been around for over 40 years, helping Chicago parents navigate all there is to raising kiddos in the Windy City.
We are especially thrilled to speak with today's guest as we discuss a topic that there aren't a lot of resources out there to support parents on: raising and supporting children who identify as LGBTQIA.
Yeah, I was honestly very surprised and a little disappointed at the lack of resources out there. And of course, every child is unique and there is no one size fits all approach that can be taken. But it's always nice to hear firsthand from a parent that has experience.
It definitely is. Parents, whether you want tips to be an ally or you want to support your child, you're sure to learn a lot and enjoy today's episode with our guest speaker, Keisha J. Mathew. Keisha is a therapist, a coach, an activist, and a parent, along with the founder of radicallyBLended Services, PLLC. Keisha, thank you so much for talking with us today. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me be on to talk about this very personal and present day experience that I'm having. Again, my name is Keisha J. Mathew. I'm a therapist. I've been working with youth and families for 20 plus years. I'm a parent of two, a recent teen, a 9-year-old. I have a little furry dog, and I've been married for 17 years. This is a topic that's very dear to me, and I definitely feel called to it. So that's a little bit about myself. I'm a content creator, and I talk about my life experience on my YouTube channel and my social media platforms.
And you've been a contributor for MPN for several years now, writing articles for our parent to parent newsletter and our website.
Yes, very excited to be here with you all.
This episode is supported by All of You Nanny, an elite nanny agency fostering long-term relationships between families and nannies. Absolutely. And for any of our listeners that want to follow you or find you on YouTube or on social media, can you share your handles with us?
Yes, you can find me radically blended. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to be on all the platforms just to connect with people in a variety of ways about topics that deal with being a mom in Chicago, Black woman married in an interracial relationship, and a parent to biracial children, and now to a queer child. And my child said, just say queer, Mom. So you don't have to remember all of the alphabets all the time. So
Good to know. That's what we'll use moving forward in this podcast then.
Okay, Keisha, thank you again for being here. Let's go ahead and jump right in.
Yes. So, Keisha, we know that children sometimes have a difficult time talking to parents about their deeply personal feelings. What tips do you have to help parents create a safe environment for our children to come to us about, well, anything?
first, I'll say that a lot of the tips that I'm going to share is directly due to the fact that the relationship I have with my oldest child, who identifies as trans masculine, born a girl, have poured into me, because even though I have years of professional experience working with all types of people, listening to my child has been the greatest start. And it sounds very simple and easy, but it's paying attention to body language. It's listening to the inflections. It's really focusing on what they need. They could say one thing, but their body is doing another, and just, asking for direction. Is it okay if I ask you? You're fidgeting, but you're telling me you're okay. So, that's the first tip, is having open communication. The second one is uh, really understanding that trust is so valuable. I know a lot of adults forget what it was like to be a child, an adolescent, but to share whatever they share with you with random people, whether it's the uncle, the grandparent, or whatever, is to say, I don't value your privacy. I don't value your sense of safety with me. You're a child. So I'm going to say whoever to it and just say, oh, that was your uncle. Oh, that's Nana. What's the big deal? So that would be, number two, like really respect their privacy because that can make or break your connection with your child. Um, I, I've seen that a lot professionally, but with my own child, that was even more critical because they're introverted, and so that sense of safety and privacy was monumental for them. And listening to their feedback, like really giving them space to share their experience and not putting your own, like, well, when I was a child, well, you know what, you kids today, when you do that, you're pretty much saying that your experience is not that valuable, it's not that important over mine. Let me tell you, I'm the adult here. So that's really devaluing their lived experience that they're having. We're not with them at school all day every day. They're at school more than they're at home once they start, right? And
Mhm.
even though we help to raise them, give them as much information, resources as possible, food, shelter, clothing, we're not with them when they are trying to navigate this world and other people's children too, that may not have the same type of values, core values, ability to talk to their parents, feel safe. So it's really important to listen to what they say and not devalue the experiences that they're having, but really to meet them where they are. That's something that therapists always talk about: meet your client where you are. Same goes with being a parent, to not, you know, just stereotype what it is to be that age, because it's different, right? They're being raised in a totally different setting and environment than where we were. And even if you have multiple children, that's still, they're still having different experiences. So it really takes patience and emotional intelligence. That's something I talk about a lot. Um, so with emotional intelligence, it's all about putting yourself in that person's shoes. You don't have to, exactly understand, but really, asking them, what is it that you need from me? What is it that I can provide to you? Instead of saying, oh, I know that experience, let me tell you about the time I went through this. It's really about just being a great listener. And I can't emphasize that enough. uh, Listening to your child, not devaluing their experience, and really taking them, having them take you on the route to like what it's like to be them. You can go really, really far with just those three things when it comes to raising your child and being just an advocate for your child and having them to learn how to speak up for themselves, especially in sticky situations. So I'll stop right there.
That's really helpful, Keisha.
Thanks, Keisha. With this being such a big step, I'm sure there are a lot of things that can go wrong. What are a few do's and don'ts when your child comes out to you or you even suspect that your child identifies as LGBTQ?
Whew, okay. Definite do is to, I want to say, congratulate them on sharing such a monumental moment in their lives. Like, it took a lot of bravery. Um, Hopefully parents understanding, even if it's like just basic knowledge of the queer community, like how hard it is for so many people to come out and to share that with the parent. Really showing gratitude to your child because, again, professionally speaking, I've had the blessing and the privilege for young people to come out to me and ask me for my support on navigating that with their parents, or them sharing like why they haven't come out to their parents or to their grandparent or some figure in their life that they feel like, oh, I'm scared. So really showing appreciation to your child for doing that, because that is an invitation for more connection, more a stronger relationship, and for you to be right there with them as they are going through this new stage and really navigating a world that still has biases towards that, especially if they're a person of color like my child is. There's a lot of biases with that. and we live south now. So that's another thing I'm sure we're going to talk about. But that's the biggest thing I remember doing, and not relying on your own knowledge. I don't care how experienced that you are at it, but really bringing in your community to support you on this. So I feel very fortunate, and I'm very spiritual. So to me, it was like, oh, this is just divine intervention, because we've had friends forever that's been in the queer community that I was able to call right away and say, hey, I need you. This is real big. I still felt, I'm very much an ally, but I still felt like very inexperienced with it, because it's like you expect to see some signs, but that might be a little, that could be stereotypical, that could be negative, in a lot of ways. Excuse me. So leaning on my support system to then ask them to be of support to my child, that was really helpful. Checking in with your partner about like how they feel about it, just being on the same plan with things, because you shouldn't do this alone. As you know, this experience, just like your child shouldn't go through this alone. You need support too. And I'm very transparent with my lived experience with this and with parenting, because I know the value of vulnerability and sharing your story, because uh, it's a normal part of life. This is an experience that few people have, but at the same time, you can just put any situation in that same, slot, whatever you can say. It could be your child is just going through whatever middle grade years, adolescent years that you can think of that your child could go through, that you went through. It could fit in here. The fact that your child can come to you and share such personal and serious matter is a blessing. If your child comes to you first. If your child goes to someone else, that's a conversation to have too, where you can create more safety for your child with you. But the third thing that I would add to that is asking them, how can you support them? What would be the best place for you to be in order to show them support and allyship, if that makes sense. Just letting them lead, and you just being in the role of almost like you're the student now and your child is the teacher. And I'm sure it will go back and forth, but really starting there, because that helps to empower them as well as feel heard. And you can whatever their response is to that, that's where you can come in and answer that. And then there's this instant gratification of like, my parent hears me, my parent sees me, and they have my back. So that is a really great way to continue to strengthen your relationship together, as well as you stepping in the humble role of learning from your child, right? Because that's very important, especially when they are going through a stage that is going to test everybody, for sure. Test everyone's mental health, their sense of safety, their communication skills, all of that, because that has been my experience for sure. So
I love that advice, to congratulate our child for sharing something, such a big moment in their lives with us, to stay humble and keep that humility as you're learning along and your child's teaching you. But at the same time, as parents, we always want to protect our child, and I'm sure that's a huge priority for parents of queer children. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I actually read a statistic from the trevorproject.org. They reported that 65% of LGBTQ youth in middle or high school reported being bullied either in person or electronically, compared to 49% of their counterparts. And I just felt like, that was a shocking statistic.
yeah, that's horrifying. Can you share any tips you have on how to ensure that your child is safe and feels safe outside of the home?
Yes. One thing, some things that I was doing on this, road to really being there for my child. My husband and I really doing what we can to be there. Number one, leaning into reaching out to our support system and, connecting with friends who, our children grew up with, having them be a part of their social circle, um, listening to our friends that are part of the queer community to really understand some of the barriers that they went through, um, and just being mindful of that because as parents, the way the system works, like we think one way. Like at first my child was born a girl, so you have those set of things that you're worried about as far as safety. And now for our child to identify as transmasculine, that's a whole nother set of things to be concerned about, especially if they are, they're presenting their gender expression is masculine, but there still could be times when they are assumed to be girls just dressed up like a boy or a tomboy. So then there's those concerns with how are people receiving that. So um, being mindful of the friends that they're around, and if they are allies or if they are being bullied. So I'll give you a prime example of how I was, you know, really exercising what it meant for my child to feel safe when they're outside of the home is communicating with the school and advocating for my child's sense of safety because they wasn't feeling safe in a place that they are spending far more hours during the day 5 days a week for several weeks,
Yeah.
several months. And having that effective communication with my child, we have daily talks at the dinner table, in the morning. Hey, how did you sleep? All of that, and really learning the things that are going on. We found out a lot. Of course, our child's demeanor would change coming home from school. They text us a lot at school, so that's a thing. I know a lot of teachers and staff. My husband's a teacher. They don't really like that as far as kids constantly on their phones talking to their parents, but checking in during breaks, during lunch is a good way. Hey, how's your day? Because that helps to kind of get an idea of what's happening in the middle of the day before they get home, and then they kind of repress it and they forget about it, but then it comes up later, which was a definite experience that we were having where we were hearing about summer camps from years ago because now these experiences that they're having now is arousing past childhood trauma experiences that they had with adults in certain spaces such as the school or a summer camp. So that could be a good way for parents to kind of monitor in real time how their child is doing and how safe they feel. Another thing is reaching out to those support systems within the school to help to advocate for your child's safety. Not all the time do schools know how to manage this because it's new. CPS is required. They do have some policies in place, but every school is different from the next. And it's not to villainize anyone, it's to really understand that this is new for a lot of staff members and they need to be communicated with how things should go. And each child is different. So, yes, there's GSA in schools, a lot of advocacy, allyship around the queer students, but transmasculine is still like not being honored enough, as far as being a part of the queer community in certain settings. I'll say that because that's my experience. So that's not me having an opinion. That has been my experience with my child. So, yeah, having, so I'll go back to the three because I like the number three. Resources, really seeking out resources that will help you to really understand, like, okay, this is what my child needs. If they go in this setting, if they have to take public transportation by themselves, what's the best way? It's pretty much the same as any young person, no matter what they identify as. What they need is just to make sure that they're they're in good communication with you. So in real time, you can always check in with them. I believe in having location on your child's phone, so you know. I believe in talking with your children's friends, meeting their parents, and mind you, not your kids are probably, let's be honest here, they're not going to tell you about every friend. They probably don't even think of certain friends as friends, but they're spending a lot of time with them. Um, really just letting them know that you trust them, and that you know it's really important that they do continue communication with, because that keeps them safe. And that's where the phone monitoring is, as well as really connecting with the school to make sure that they are doing their part to keep your child safe, and you are communicating with your child to make sure that the school is doing what they're supposed to do. So hopefully that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and you actually answered a lot of my next question, which was just really getting some advice on how parents can ensure that their child is receiving the support that they deserve at school. You touched a little bit on requirements from CPS and each school being a little different from the next and doing things and handling things a little bit differently. Um, I guess as a way to ask this question or dive a little bit deeper into this question, is there like a contact person at each school that parents should seek out? Is it like a school counselor, or do you go to the dean or to the principal? Like, who is that person that parents should seek out at schools to ensure that their child is getting their support that they deserve?
First and foremost, the principal. And the best thing for parents to do, because institutions like CPS responds very quickly to documentation. So if you write an email to the admin about what's going on, and you have dates because you're communicating with your child, and maybe you're texting and you got those timestamps, that is a great receipt for you to notify admin about what your child is experiencing, because that's so valuable in that setting, right? Like, they can hear gripes and grievances all day, but when you have the documentation and it's your email and you're using language like, according to the website on CPS is saying that this page in the school conduct book says this, the light bulbs go off, the ears are perky, they are paying attention, and they are going to answer whatever you need, because they don't want any problems when it comes to that, right? So that's something I learned having been a former CPS employee as well as a LSC. I was on the LSC. I just been involved in schools for a very, very long time, and I see the way admin has responded to one set of parents versus the other, and it's usually because one knows how to use that wonderful thing called email, and they read the school code conduct book, which we had to sit. My husband was highlighting and just sharing with the school, hey, this is what's supposed to be going on. And no disrespect to my child's school, which will not be named, uh, they didn't know a few of those things that's in the book. So we were sharing the section, the page, and everything about, like, no, you can't do that actually. And they were like, what page is that? What section? So it's really being informed about what's in that book, because that's going to get you so far. And then it's going to help you to know how to communicate with the school, because again, I've seen parents that would just go up and they're angry and they're just not in the right headspace, and that is all that admin will see, and that is how they will write you off. I've seen it. I've witnessed it plenty of times. And um, usually if I have a rapport with some of the parents, I will let them know, here, these are your rights, this is who you can contact, this is how you need to do this, this is who you need to CC, because that's another thing, parents, when you send emails, CC whoever is valuable for that email. So if it's like, you and your partner, put them on there. Sometimes if it fits, it could be CC to their counselor. It could be CC to maybe the dean if it's a discipline thing, if someone's bullying your child. But just to make sure that you add people in there, because sometimes communication, and again, I'm not villainizing anyone, but perhaps admin will communicate and paraphrase it differently to their colleagues when they're involved in the situation too. Say, admin will speak to the deans, and then it's not communicated fully because people are just like summarizing, and you can miss some details. So that's why I like to do it that way. I've gotten very good responses. And when you know your stuff and you are asserting it and you're not being aggressive and bitter, you're just being very direct because this is your child. You're using soft skill language like, I mean no harm, but this is my child and I'm going to advocate for them, and this is important, and I trust your judgment as leader of this school to do what is the right thing to do, and the right thing to do is in your school code of conduct. So I would like for you to do that in that way. And yeah, I've gotten a lot of great responses. Of course, I can see some apprehension sometimes with staff because it's another thing they have to do, but they get paid to do it. So never be afraid, parents, to assert what's best for your child, because your child is going to remember that long, long time. Once they leave that school, they're going to remember how you made them feel, right? That's a famous quote from, I believe, Maya Angelou, about like, they may not remember your words, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. So if they see you advocating and you're letting them know, hey, I spoke to so and so today, just you can even share, if you feel comfortable sharing it with them, the emails, which I've done for certain situations. They don't need to see everything, right? Because that's involving your child too much. But just the highlights of, this is what's going on, this is what I did, and we're waiting for a response. That helps your child's anxiety about this situation. That helps them to see, like, I'm being heard, I feel safe, I'm being supported. I can go back to school knowing that something's being done, not just we're handling it, right? Sometimes that statement is not enough for children like mine that are very detail oriented and want to know, especially if your child, struggles with anxiety. It's good to like share, just enough for them to kind of reduce their anxiety about the situation and feel supported.
My takeaway from your answer there was that, this is not a time as a parent to just, in your emotional state, to rip off an email to the person you think needs to know at school. You need to calm down. You need to do your research, find the facts, and then reach out kindly, but also directly, which can be tricky, but
Yes.
You offered some language of how to do that. I trust your judgment as a leader of the school. I mean no harm, but this is my child and I'm going to advocate for them. That was really useful. And I think the school staff would appreciate that too, because an emotional email without factual reference points is not that probably helpful to them either. You're almost leading them. You're giving them kind of like the data that they need to support your child. It's, you don't want to have to do that, but sometimes you do. And so do it the best that you can.
Yes. And I want to add that I am I don't always have it together when it comes to my children, because I'm very much a lioness when it comes to my children. Like the cat claws will come out if you harm my children in any way. So I leaned on my husband a great deal for things that were just too much for me, because I'm so close to this, right? I can be very detached when it comes to my clients and helping them and stay very logical. But when it's my child, this is my baby. This is someone that came out of my womb, and to be for them to experience anything other than pleasantries in a school setting is a lot. So definitely, and Amy, to your point, my husband was the logical one in some settings and situations, and I leaned on him because it was so much. I don't want to. I don't want anyone to think that, oh, it was just all like, okay, you came out, yes, we're going to do it this way. It was a lot. It was emotionally draining because it was so much going on. We had other things, external factors happening at the same time that our child was coming out. Lots of transformation going on in our lives at that time. And the best thing is having a partner that really, a good balance. So if you're both hot-headed, reach out to someone else that can help calm you down. Send the email to them, have them read it like, yeah, this is a little harsh here. Or if you're someone that kind of internalizes and you have a hard time really speaking up, whoever that friend in your life that is like a lion, and I love the lion, then reach out to them and, just, and your child, of course, about like how to go about that. And there are so many awesome parents that's in CPS that are part of so many organizations that's really pushing things forward. Those are groups to also be a part of if you need help with finding your voice, because you are the most powerful part of the school community than you realize. Staff members who want to help don't have as much power as you do. Like that is the honest 100% fact, that parents have far more power than staff members on making change happen, because you are the one consuming all of the resources in the school. So you and your child have more power than you realize. Trust me on that.
That's powerful. I think it also brings the saying of it takes a village right into our lives. Like if you aren't the one, if your partner isn't the one to help you handle this, then find some people in your community that can, find support in those resources surrounding you. Yeah, thank you so much, Keisha.
Yeah, thank you.
My last question is, how can we as adults show up as allies? So if our listeners are not parents of kids who identify as queer, but know a child who identifies as queer, or doesn't know but wants to be an ally regardless of whether they know someone or not, do you have suggestions on how those listeners can show up as allies?
Yes. I would say volunteering is such a wonderful thing to do. As a social worker, I'm very biased about volunteering. Is your contribution to your community, and that's a great way if you want to get involved. There's so many organizations within the city, depending on what side of town that you are from. There's definitely some organizations, small groups, very large groups that you can be a part of to just volunteer your time. There's so many helpful people too that want to educate, because with education comes growth, comes change. So yeah, the resources that are available, NPN has great ones. Chicago Parent, I've seen a lot of resources in there about, it comes out a lot during Pride Month or the month leading up to. But, Google is your friend. It has taught me so much as I was doing a lot of research, advocating for my child and seeing what was out there. Depending on what school district your child goes to, check their website and see if they have things for queer youth. I know CPS does have that. Hold them accountable, because a lot of people wear those lanyards. A lot of the staff members wear those. But I met with GSA students at my child's school, and they did not feel like that was really active, felt very performative to them. And that's from the youth. I'm just saying that. So those that want to volunteer, really reach out to organizations that will allow you to have direct connection with young people or those that are experiencing, that are a part of the queer community, because they are the experts. They will be able to tell you. The Trevor Project is awesome too. I got a lot of great information from there, and it's up to date. It's really fascinating. The one that I used with the school presentation I did, it's just look that up, you all. It's really fascinating what was going on during the pandemic and how not much has changed, unfortunately. So again, depending on what side of town you're from, I will go to the Chamber of Commerce in your community too to see what organizations and things of that nature is available for you to get involved if you want to stay within your community, because that's an awesome thing, because you'll be tied into what's happening in your community and be more aware of it. What we did was really go to our child's school too, both of our children's school, because one of our children is elementary school, and our oldest is 8th grade off to high school. And we went there first to see what was available. We learned why isn't GSA as effective as it should be in our child's school, and what we could do to kind of help to impact change within that. So those are some tips I would say for adults, no matter if you have children or not, is to start with your community. That's the best way. And if you're someone that likes to go to other communities, or you spend a lot of time because maybe you work in another community, Howard Brown is awesome. I've had a lot of friends that work there. Center on Halstead is God sent. Oh, so helpful. And Good Kids Mad City. I really like what they've been doing too. They've been educating their peer groups. Is run by young people, and they're educating each other on not only concerns about queer youth, but also just about making their communities safer, which impacts queer youth too, because queer youth are traveling places to feel safe and be themselves because they can't be in their neighborhoods. So that's why I emphasize, wherever you live, I'm sure there's a young person that would benefit from just knowing someone like you cares and really wants to impact change.
I just want to clarify one thing. You've used the acronym GSA a few times. Can you say what that stands for?
Yes, sorry about that. It was Gay Straight Alliance, and it's usually run by youth in schools, and it's supposed to bring awareness to the student body about issues that's going on with queer youth, as well as activities, and just making it very inclusive. And it's usually a club that's out after school, but some schools, they have it a part of their school day if they have colloquium or some sort of homeroom or something like that going on, that they can be a part of those different clubs, affinity groups. Hmm.
And then just overall, thank you so much for joining us today, Keisha. We really appreciate all the insight and the, thoughtfulness that you've shared with us today.
Yeah, and the firsthand experience, incredibly valuable.
Listeners, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Tell us what else you'd like to hear about and who you'd like to hear from by clicking the link in our show notes. Hit the subscribe button to stay in the loop, and we'll see you around the neighborhood.